Welcome to Sharing Bible Truth and Prophecy Ministries.
Magandang araw po sa ating lahat mga kapatid at mga kaibigan. Welcome po muli sa ating Bible Study Series mula sa mensahe ni Pastora Jade M. Hintay. Sa video pong ito, ating pag-aaralan ang Daniel Size, si Daniel sa yungib ng Leon Laspot. Ang kwento ni Daniel ay isang makapangyarihang paalala na ang tunay na pananampalataya ay nananatiling matatag. Kahit sa gitna ng panganib, pagsubok at banta sa buhay, habang pinakikinggan po natin ang mensaheng ito, buksan po natin ang ating puso at hilingin po natin sa Panginoon na palakasin ang ating pananampalataya. Turuan po tayong manalangin ng tapat at tulungan po tayong manatiling matatag sa Kanya hanggang wakas. At ngayon, pakinggan na po natin si Pastora Jade M. Hintay.
Pauwi pa lamang po. At ngayon po nais ko pong i-share ang aking pong po. Yan. Okay. Ang ating topic ay Daniel chapter 6, last part po ito, no? At bago yun, tayo po ay manalangin. Dakilang Ama na makapangyarihan sa lahat, marami pong salamat sa oras na ito. Binigyan kami ng pagkakataon na muli po'y mag-aral ng iyong salita. Salamat po sa karapatan na inyo at pribilehiyo na kayo po nagkaloob upang muli po namin mapag-aralan ng inyong salita. Puspusin kaming lahat ng Espiritu Santo sa pangalan ng Panginoong Hesus. Amen. So ito po ang ating topic, at ito ay isa sa kumbaga po ay lundo ng ating din pag-aaral sapagkat makikita natin dito ang katapatan at hindi nagko-compromise na lingkod ng Panginoon. Si Daniel isang karakteristik ng kanyang faithful servant. Alam natin ito, when Babylon fell to the Medes and Persian o tinatawag na Medo-Persian Empire na ngayon ay Iran, alam natin God's hand was over Daniel. Hindi siya pinatay at namatay, no, sa kamay ng mga mga paganong hari, no? Pero nung nagkaroon po ng panibagong hari ng pangalan ay si King Darius. Ito ay sabi nga po ay nakita dito ang tinatawag na panibagong gobyerno at inappoint po si Daniel as one of the 3 governors over the whole realm. So, kumbaga po, governor number 1, 2, and 3. So, doon sa tatlong governors ay isa siyang napili. He had obviously heard of Daniel's exceptional wisdom, itong si King Darius. Nadinig niya siyempre, passing of words, at yun ang nadinig po ni King Darius sa kanyang exceptional wisdom, ability, at siyempre po, pangatlo dito, yung meron siyang gift of prophecy na ang Panginoon ang nagbibigay. And to have such a qualified local administrator could only help the Persians in ruling the conquered nation. So ito po yung naiba po, at very, kumbaga po sa atin ay exceptional talaga yung ibinigay na talento sa kanya ng ating Panginoon. Pero after the Medo-Persian take over Babylon, alam natin, di ba? Babylon, gold, yung head, ito ay sinisimbolize ng lion, na may pakpak po ng agila. So, kinubkob po ang Babylon, gamit ay panahon ng piyesta sa Babylon, lasing-lasing ang mga Babylonians, ay naggawa sila ng dike doon sa Euphrates River at nakapasok po ang sabi natin na makapangyarihang papalit po sa Babylon, ay walang iba kundi ang Medo-Persian Empire. So si King Darius, the Mede, ay nirecognize niya ang wisdom ni Daniel at in-invite siya upang maging bahagi ng bagong gobyerno. Alam natin that this time, the aging prophet, si Daniel, so excel in his public duties that the new king appoint him as a chief administrator of the whole Medo-Persian government. So talagang kinikilala po. At that time, alam natin, kinuha sila, di ba, mula sa Babylon. At alam natin ay isang mga kabataan pa sila. But this time, dito sa lugar ng Medo-Persian Empire, ay medyo alam natin na may katandaan na po siya. However, as the chapter unfolds in Daniel chapter 6, Daniel faces the result of what could rightly be called the first sin, that of jealousy. Yun po mga kaibigan, ang kakaharapin niya. Kung paano ito yung naging unang kasalanan sa langit, alam naman natin, si Lucifer ay nagkaroon po ng inggit, pananaghili, laban kay Jesus. At dahil doon, kinalaban niya ang gobyerno ng Panginoon. At nakipagtunggali siya kay Michael the Archangel, walang iba kundi si Jesus, at yung mga 2/3 ng angels na nag-side sa Panginoon. 1/3 ang nakuha ni Satanas, Yet before the story ends, we can see that Daniel is faithful, not only to his secular duties under the Medo-Persian, but most importantly to his God. And we can be sure that to a great degree, his faithfulness to God directly impact his faithfulness in these other areas as well. So kitang-kita natin mga kapatid, ay naiiba talaga itong si Daniel. Yun na natin. And Daniel's experience with persecution served as a paradigm for God's people in the time of the end. So the story does not imply that God's people will be spared from trials and sufferings. Totoo naman talaga ito, mga kaibigan, na hindi tayo pwedeng ma-spare sa mga pagsubok natin na nararanasan. At itong mga pagsubok ang nagiging isang daan upang lalo tayong lumago sa pananampalataya. Magdepende tayo sa ating Panginoon. Para what it does not guarantee is that in the conflict with evil, good will ultimately win out. And God ultimately will vindicate His people. Parang sa ating isipan, parang imposible, na mangyari ang mga naganap sa 4 na Hebreo at ngayon sa ating pong chapter na ito ng 6 of Daniel ay nakapokus to kay Daniel. So, wala yung tatlo niyang kaibigan doon sa ating pong chapter na ito, Naalala nyo nung yung tatlo ay itinapon po sa pugon. Wala naman si Daniel, but this time wala naman po yung tatlo, doon sa narrative ng Daniel chapter 6. Doon sabi ni Ellen White, Daniel exemplified in his life the type of people God had in mind when Ellen White wrote, "The greatest ones of this world today are the ones of men." So, kailangan po sa oras na ito, mabait lalaki na hindi pwedeng bilhin at ibenta. Men who in their inmost soul are true and honest. Men who do not fear to call sins by its right name. Men whose conscience is as true to the duty as the needle to the pole, men who will stand for the right, though the heavens fall. So ito yung binigay po na attributes ni Ellen White na kailangan natin maging karanasan. At ito yung naging karanasan din po ni Daniel. Sapagkat ganun ang kanilang karakter na kumbaga po talagang na-immerse na sila sa ganung karakter. Katulad po ng 3 Hebreo na nauna, sina Meshach, Shadrach, and Abednego, and of course, Daniel, since in the time immemorial, perpetuated sa lahat ng ating pong nakita at nabasa, na ang 4 ng Hebreyong ito ay nag-exemplify nila na hindi sila mag-double standard, hindi sila mag-compromise sa kanilang pananampalataya sa ating Panginoon. So as we also, should exemplify a kind of character just like the poor Hebrews. But this time, mga kapatid, ay inaasahan din ng Panginoon na sa dami ng ating napagdaanan at karanasang mapapait, ito'y maging daan upang lalo tayong lumago sa ating pananampalataya. Ito na. So, paano po magpa-plot, no? O magpaplano na mawasak at mapahamak si Daniel? O, di ba, naalala natin yung 3 Hebreyo, pinipilit na sila'y mapahamak sa pamamagitan ng hindi kayo sasamba, hindi kayo luyukod, aba, itatapon kayo sa pugo na apoy, may decree yan. Ito naman kay Daniel ay gayon din. So, hinahanapan sila ng butas o hinahanapan sila ng ground. No, so that Daniel in that chapter that we are now trying to study ay mapahamak din po. So sabi ko, number 1, nagsimula saan? Sa inggit, no? So minsan, sa totoo lang, kapag kainggit talaga naghari sa puso, nawawala ang mag-ina, nawawala mag-ama, nawawala magkapatid, magkaibigan, magkaklase, magkatrabaho, no? Magka-churchmate, no? Nawawala po. Bakit nawawala? Dahil gahari ang jealousy, no? Yung pagkainggit, no? Kaya mahirap po yan dahil yan ang unang naging kasalanan po ni Lucifer, di po ba? Though the text itself does not say why they wanted to do in Daniel. So dito ay makita natin na nagkaroon po ng inggit. Sino nga ba itong si Daniel na ito? Iniisip nila. Isang Hudyo, isang foreigner, pero mayroong mataas na katungkulan doon sa kaharian, mula pa doon sa lugar ng Babylon at ngayon naman ay sa Medo-Persian Empire. Kaya kung atin pong babasahin ng verse 2 ng Daniel chapter 6, ay makita natin dito na si Daniel was one of the most powerful and influential people in the court. Second, it would seem to the king himself. So, napakahirap po na ma-imagine na yung slot na yun mapupunta sa kanya, samantalang siya ay hindi isang, kumbaga po, masasabi natin hindi siya Babylonian, hindi rin po siya isang Medo-Persian, po. So, isa pang foreigner. Kumbaga, bakit nabigyan pa ng posisyon yan? Siya naman na isang foreigner. Po? Kumbaga sa atin, isang alien, no? So, parang yun wala yung pinag-iba. Tama din naman yung sa atin sa Pilipinas na nangyayari sa atin, di ba? Paano nagkaroon niyang posisyon yan? Yung naging mayor ng Bangbang, Tarlac, samantalang hindi pala siya Filipino citizen. Okay lang yun. Dapat talagang hindi siya mabigyan dahil hindi talaga siya, kumbaga, Filipino citizen. Pero this time, kakaiba po, no? Higit pa. No? Hindi naman, kumbaga, iisipin talaga ng mga taga Medo-Persian Empire, even Babylon, sa Babylon, paano yan, paano naging governor yan, no? Isa foreigner yan, isang alien, kumbaga po, no? Akin lang ina-analogy, po. Second, it will seem to the king himself. So, importante po ito. Kumbaga po ay sa kanyang trabaho, hindi lang governor, ay mismong doon sa hari. So, it's not hard to imagine someone coveting that slot. So gusto po talagang makuha yung slot na yon, no, na nagnanais na ipahamak siya at siya ay gawa ng kasamaan. So dito ay makikita natin ang first manifestation ng kasalanan. Ang kasalanan ni Lucifer sa heaven. When he coveted a position that was not his. He coveted to be like God, no? Sabi nga po, he coveted not only to be like God, higher than God, and to be God, no? So napaka-importante ho 'yon. Makikita natin yun sa Isaiah chapter 24 and of course in Ezekiel chapter 28. So makikita natin 'yan. So dito ay nagkaroon ng ganung puso, no? Spirito sa mga taga Medo-Persian Empire. Darius may appear silly in promulgating a decree that he soon wishes to repeal. Bakit po? Kasi he falls into the trap laid by the officers who are smart enough to play with the political circumstances of recently established kingdom. So, natrap siya dahil po pinagawa siya ng isang decree At ano yung decree na yon? Mamaya makikita natin dahil napakalaga to, no? Na kung sina Meshach, no, Abednego at Shadrach ay hindi sila talaga sumunod, no, na yumukod doon sa napakalaking statute na ginawa po ni King Nebuchadnezzar para yumukod sila at nagbigay ng decree na ilagay sa pugon ng sino mang hindi yuyukod. This time ay kakaiba sapagkat wala talagang makitang dungis sa kanyang puso. Gawin natin kakaiba. Kumbaga po, gagamitin yung kumbaga po ay parang igigisa ka sa sariling mantika. Okay, nakitaan na nananalangin, ano? So, yun ang pupwedeng maging daan para siya mapapahama. Darius has decentralized the government and established 120 satraps in order to make the administration more efficient. Kumbaga sa atin, mga cabinet members, ano po, yun po ang katapat nito. Mga satrap, sila yung mga cabinet member ni King Darius. However, such action entails some risk in the long run. Kumbaga po, hari, magbigay ka ng isang, kumbaga sa Pilipinas, nagkakaroon lang ako ng analogy. Republic Act number, o kaya maglagay ka ng bill na gano'n, ipapasa natin sa Senado, ipapasa sa House of Representatives. Sige na, mahal na hari. So yung mga, ito na, no? Kasi bahagi ng government, itong si Daniel, pero may mga cabinet member na nag-iisip kung paano nila mapapatumba si Daniel. An influential governor can easily foster a rebellion and split the kingdom. So the laws forcing everyone to petition only to the king for 30 days seems a good strategy to foster allegiance to the king and thus prevent any kind of sedition. But the officer misled the king by claiming that such a proposal has the support of all the governors. So, diba? Parang kumbaga po ay nilansin nila, no? Talagang totally deception ang ginawa po ng mga cabinet members nito. Na sinabi ay ito ay sinusuportahan ng lahat ng governors. Sinusuportahan ng lahat ng administrator. Sinusuportahan ito ng lahat ng mga sa atin ni satrap na itong ating mga cabinet members. Sinusuportahan to lahat ng councilors at advisor. An obvious inaccuracy since Daniel is not included. So, kumbaga po, no, hindi siya in-include doon sa roster na dapat po ay ipasa, no? Siyempre, yung ipapasa nila laban talaga kay Daniel eh. So, talagang in-exclude si Daniel, no, na mapasama roon sa roster ng mga kunwari daw ay pumayag. So, in addition, the prospect of being treated as a god may have been appealing to the king. Maging katulad ka ng Diyos. Kaya parang medyo kumbaga po, nagkaroon ng counter-ego itong si King Darius. Sige, pumayag na rin siya. Hindi niya alam, yun po ay bahagi ng trap po mismo kay King Darius. Minsan po, yung mga bagay-bagay tayo, no, sa ating personal at sa ating personal na application ng ating buhay, may mga bagay-bagay tayo na sige na nga lang, no? Magko-compromise na lang. Si lahat, umuo na. Ako na lang yata hindi. Sige na lang. Para wala nang gulo. Excuse me po. Kaya minsan po, yun po ang nangyayari. Excuse po. So there is no evidence that Persian king ever claimed divine status. Nevertheless, the decree may have been intended to make the king the sole representative of the gods for 30 days. That is, ito na yun prayers to the God have to be offered to him. So yun po Unfortunately, the king does not investigate the motivation behind the proposal. Behind doon sa decree o kaya po behind doon sa bill kung pag-uusapan po natin ay bill galing po sa Senado or bill na inapruban po ng House of Representatives. Kasi sa ating Pilipinas po, bago po ma-approve ang bill, meron pang first, second reading mula sa House of Representatives, ipapasa sa Senate, ipapasa sa Presidente, babalik po muli sa House of Representatives. Ganun po nila ini-screen ang bawat bill na ipapasa para sa bansang Pilipinas at sa ating mga mamamayang Pilipino. Pero ito po ay hindi na po nabigyan ng thorough investigation ni King Darius. Thus, he fails to perceive that the law that would allegedly prevent conspiracy was itself a conspiracy to hurt Daniel. No, kumbaga po, gawa tayo ng decree. Ang dapat lang papanalangin within the 30 days ay dapat dito tayo mag-o-offer ng prayer at kumbaga gagawin parang Diyos itong si King Darius. Grabe, no? Matindi silang mag-plot ng kanilang mga yung diabolical gawa, Two aspects of this law deserve attention. First, the penalty for transgression is to be cast into the lion's den. So yun po, no? Since this kind of punishment is not attested elsewhere, it may have been an ad hoc suggestion of Daniel's enemies. So kumbaga, wala po ito. Usually kasi di ba pagka po mga ganun, galo, pero yung itatapong ka sa sa lion's den, wala po yun sa kumbaga wala yun sa batas. Pero hindi rin ito nakita ni King Darius. Ancient Near Eastern monarch placed lion in cages in order to release them on certain occasion for hunting. Pero hindi para parusahan ng isang tao at itapon doon. Yun po ang kanila, kumbaga sa kultura nila to. Pero kumbaga po, sinira lahat ng mga mapanaghili po kay Daniel. Para lang po si Daniel ay mapahamak kasi nakita nila na ilang beses nananalangin si Daniel sa ating Panginoon. So there was no shortage of lion to maul whoever dared to violate the king's decree. Second, ito nakita natin, that decree cannot be changed. Hindi pwedeng baguhin. The unchangeable nature of the law of the Persian and Medes is also mentioned in the book of Esther chapter 1 verse 19 and Esther chapter 8 verse 8. At ito isa sa mga nakuha ko pong citation, si Diodorus Silucus, isang ancient Greek historian, na kanyang na-mentions in occasion with King Darius III, not to be confused with King Darius kay Daniel, changed his mind but could not longer repeal a death sentence he has passed on an innocent man. So may mga batas na hindi na mabawi, hindi na ma-amend, hindi na ma-repeal. Sa ating bansang Pilipinas, dati meron tayong death decree, Kumbaga po ay may death row tayo. At ang last na nakaranas po ng death row ay si Echegaray, siya ay nilagyan siya ng lason, sa syringe at hanggang siya mamatay, So ito po ay makikita po natin mga kaibigan na matindi po ang naging karanasan po mga kaibigan nitong itong si Daniel sapagkat sa kamay ng mga kaaway ay pilit siyang talagang ipahamak. So okay, yun ang hindi na pag-aralan po nitong si King Darius, Kasi parang talagang sumunod-sunod na lang siya, doon sa kanyang mga cabinet member. Having failed, mga kaibigan, having failed to find anything in Daniel's character or professional activities that they could have used to discredit him before Darius, the governor and satraps turned to his religion because there was no apparent conflict between his religious life and the performance of his duties. They had to invent one. Pasensya na po kayo kasi nasa labas po ako, medyo maingay po yung aso, Okay, so dito natin makikita na kaiba po talaga ang lahat ng pwedeng magawa po nitong itong laban po kay Daniel, ano po? So matindi po talaga kung anong magagawa. Lahat gagawin nila para lang po siya ay mapahamak at hindi tamang pamamaraan ay gagawin nila para lang si Daniel ay mapatay. So their claim before Darius that all the governors, ito na, ay nagkaroon po sila ng consultation. So kumbaga po sa atin ay magkaroon tayo ng consultation, magkaroon tayo ng deliberation, at magkaroon tayo ng ating meeting, no? So, pero hindi naman talaga ito nangyari at hindi naman lahat ay bumoto sa kanilang gusto. So sila-sila lang. So the majority of them probably were scattered across the kingdom and did not even know what was going on. But their flattery achieves its purpose. The bait was thrown out, no, in view with King Darius. Wala, natrap na po si King Darius, no. So wala talagang alam yung iba eh. Yun lang talagang matitinding may pagkaingit kay Daniel, ano po, na bahagi ng cabinet members po ni King Darius. Ito na, sabi ni Ellen White. Restore Redemption, page 14. Even in heaven, a perfect environment, Lucifer feels jealous of Christ. Lucifer was envious and jealous of Jesus Christ. Yet when all the angels bow to Jesus to acknowledge his supremacy and high authority and rightful rule, he bowed with them, but his heart was filled with envy and hatred. Tingnan mo, ito po ang naging attitude ni Lucifer against kay Jesus. Ulitin ko Lucifer was envious and jealous of Jesus Christ. Yet when all the angels bowed to Jesus to acknowledge his supremacy and high authority and rightful rule, si Satanas naman, si Lucifer ay nagbow down din, but his heart was filled with envy and hatred. So, mga kaibigan, ganun din po ang naging kalaban ni Daniel at kahit yung pong tatlong Hebreyo na kinainggitan din po sila, di po ba? Jealousy is such a dangerous feeling to harbor that in the Ten Commandments themselves, alongside the forbiddance of murder and theft, there is the command against covetousness. So maliwanag po ito mga kaibigan. Meron talagang kasi meron jealousy, meron pong paghahangad na hindi tama, So yung nagkokobet ka na hindi para sa'yo. So yun po yung jealousy. At yun ang nasa puso ng mga ibang cabinet members ni King Darius laban kay Daniel. Okay? The decree stated no one could petition any god or man for 30 days. So ibig sabihin po, wala pong pwedeng magbigay ng kanilang panalangin. So within the period of 30 days because the issue concerned worship. The reference to men most likely refers to the Babylonian priests who were the mediators between the people and their gods. In other words, during this period of 30 days, only the king was to be the priest for the people. So, kumbaga po, walang iba. Kaya nga po lahat ay i-repair po doon sa hari sa loob ng 30 days na po ang kanila pong mga petition. So talagang na-trap talaga ng gusto rito, si King Darius. This would be a humbling experience for the local priests and a test of loyalty to the new Persian government. Tapos ang sabi po dito na isang libro na nakuha natin po as one of our references, the suggested mode of compelling every subject in the former Babylonian domain to acknowledge the authority of Persia seems a statement-like measure that would contribute to the unification of the Middle and Near East. So, ibig sabihin po, para lang maganap po, yung tinatawag natin, kumbaga sa atin po ay, sa ating panahon ay tawag ay ecumenical movement. Kumbaga yung nakaraang eleksyon, di ba? May unit team, May mga ganon. Pero the truth of the matter is, hindi naman talaga totoo. So dito po ay ibang klase ang lahat ng mga pagpaplano ng mga lumalaban kay Daniel. Daniel's administrative abilities impressed the king, but provoked the jealousy of other officers. Thus, they conspired to get rid of him by accusing him of corruption. So, may corruption ba si Daniel? Wala naman. But as much as they searched, they find no fault in Daniel's administration. They could find no charge or fault because he was faithful. Nor was there any error or fault found in him. The Aramaic word translated as faithful can also be translated as trustworthy. So naroon ang faithfulness at yung trustworthiness po nitong si Daniel, sapagkat nakitang talagang hindi naman nagnakaw ni singkong duling, kumbaga hindi nagnakaw ni 1 cent na dollar, po, wala talaga eh. So anong gagawin natin para maano natin siya, mag-get rid natin siya sa kanyang posisyon at siya ay mapatay. So marami silang mga plano, mga plot na pwedeng magawa against kay Daniel eh. Pero hanggang sila nagse-search, hanggang kumbaga po sa atin ay nagba-background check sila dito kay Daniel at gumagamit ng lahat ng kaparaanan para mahuli o para yun na maging ground na siya ay matanggal sa posisyon at pwedeng maparusahan. Grabe ganun minsan sa atin ang ating application sa ating buhay minsan ganun eh. May mga tao talaga na mapag-isip ng masama at gagawan ka pa ng maling paratak para lang ikay mapahamak. Pero later on, alam naman natin na kapag tapat ka sa Panginoon, ibibindicate ka talaga ng Panginoon. But Daniel is blameless. There's nothing the officers can do to raise an accusation against him. However, they also perceive how faithful Daniel to his God and how obedient he is to his God's law. So ito po na, Atin. So they soon realized that in order to frame Daniel, they will have to produce a situation in which Daniel will be faced with the dilemma of obeying either God's law or the law of the empire. So from what the officers have learned about Daniel, they are absolutely convinced that under the right condition, he will side with his God's law over the empires. What a testimony to Daniel's faithfulness. Kumbaga po talagang sino kayang susundin ito? Ang kanyang Diyos ba o ang ating imperyo, ang ating bang gobyerno? Pero wala talagang nakita nila na si Daniel ay tapat sa Panginoon. Higit pa kung mapapansin natin sa lahat ng istorya mula pa sa Daniel chapter 1 ay nakitaan na natin siya ng katapatan sa ating Panginoon. Doon pa lang sa number 1, sa chapter 1 pa lang, sa pagkain pa lang sa maliit na bagay pa lang, pero nakitaan na natin ang katapatan ng 4 na Hebreyo. So paano mapapahamak? So paano matatrap itong si Daniel? Wala silang makitang ayota na siya'y nagkasala, nagkamali. So anong gagawin nila? So there was a matter of prayer. To close the shutters of his window and to pray to God in the solitude of his room would have been an easy way out for Daniel. After all, from the Sermon on the Mount, we know that Jesus said, when you pray, go into your room. And when you have shut your door, pray to your Father who is in secret place. So, ganun naman, pero yun ang po pwedeng ground, para siya mapahamak. So, nakakuha sila ng puntos na kaya ito lang gawin nating ground para siya ay mapahamak, So, ano kayang gagawin? Importante po ito. Maybe it would have been the easy way out, but would have been wrong. Why make trouble when you don't need to? So, anong gagawin? Isip-isip sila kung paano mapapahamak itong si Daniel. Alam ba ninyo, katulad din yan sa panahon, panahon po yan ni Ellen White, Alam niyo yung si A.T. Jones, di ba? Ang isa sa mga, kumbaga po ay atin pong napag-aaralan ang buhay ni A.T. Jones, di po ba? Sabi niya, after Sunday legislation was passed in California, A.T. Jones urged Adventists to defy the law openly, that is, to do whatever work they would normally do. Yun ang sinabi ni A.T. Jones. Okay. Baka hindi po ninyo natatandaan, si A.T. Jones po ang author ng 95 Theses, yung Righteousness by Faith. Ano po? Yung Righteousness by Faith po. In contrast, Ellen White specifically told Adventists not to defy those laws. To defy the Sunday law will but strengthen in their persecution the religious zealots who are seeking to enforce them. Give them no occasion to call you lawbreaker. Because at that time kasi alam natin na meron na silang zeal. Kaya kumbaga hindi man natatakot po, dapat tayo, no? Yan natin. One does not receive the mark of the beast because he showed that he realizes the wisdom of keeping the peace by refraining from work that gives offense, doing at the same time a work of the highest importance. So ibig sabihin po mga kaibigan, hindi man ibig sabihin ay tumanggap na tayo no ng mark of the beast kung tayo ay hindi lalabag sa araw ng linggo o ganun po no, hindi tayo nakikipag-compromise. Alam niya na sapagkat may mga panahon talaga na kahit po Sunday mag-iipon-ipon ano, pero hindi ibig sabihin nangingiling ka ng araw ng linggo. Yun ang ibig sabihin dito ni Ellen White kung ipaparaphrase natin. In fact, in another place, it is sinulat din ni Ellen White in the context of Sunday law that instead of openly violating the law, Seventh-day Adventists should hold additional worship services on Sunday as well on the true Sabbath. Why do you think she took this position as opposed to A.T. Jones? Sapagkat sabi nga po, para hindi lang magkaroon ng tinatawag na sensational, no, kinakailangan ay makilaro ka sa kanila pero hindi ibig sabihin nagsa-Sunday worship ka na. No? Yun po ang ibig sabihin dito ni Ellen White. So Daniel, no, is an experienced statement, but above all, he is God's servant. Kaya kahit ano pong gawin nila ng kanyang mga kalaban, at such, he is the only member of the government who can understand what lies behind the king's decree. Siya lang. At alam niya. So for Darius, the decree amounts to an opportunity to strengthen the unity of the kingdom. But for the conspirator, it's a strategy to get rid of Daniel. So alam ito, kahit na hindi po, kumbaga hindi sinabi kay Daniel, pero alam niya, nung nabasa niya yung decree, ay meron na siyang hint na ito ay para siya ipahamak at ipapatay. No? Pero alam nyo, kahit anong gawin po ng sino man, kapag ikay nasa Panginoon, hindi ka pwedeng matakot. At alam natin, hindi tayo pababayaan ng Diyos. Of course, the real causes and motives behind the plot lie in the cosmic battle between God and the forces of evil, between Jesus and Satan, between the 1/3 of the fallen angels and the 2/3 of holy angels. At this time in 539 BC, Daniel has already received the vision recorded in Daniel 7 and of course in Daniel chapter 8, which is in 551 BC. So he can understand the royal decree that not as a matter of mere human politic but as an instant of this cosmic war. No, bahagi siya. Naging isa sa karakter doon sa tinatawag na great controversy. Kumbaga sa ating panahon, hindi pa tapos ang great controversy, nasa gitna tayo ng labanan between good and evil, between Satan and of course Jesus. Pero alam natin, matalo na naman ang Satanas talo na 2,000 years ago pa. So the vision of the Son of Man delivering the kingdom to the people of the Most High and the comforting assistant of the angel's interpreter may have brought him the courage to face the crisis head on. He may also have reflected on the experience of his companions who had been brave enough to challenge the decree of King Nebuchadnezzar. So kumbaga po, dahil alam naman niya na isulat niya na po yung mga visions na yon ay pinakita sa kanya ng Panginoon. No? So dito natin makikita na kumbaga po wala na siyang dapat ikatakot sapagkat alam niya ang kahinatnan ng lahat ng mga planong masama laban sa kanya. At lalo siyang nagbigay lakas sa kanya sapagkat kanyang sinasariwa ang karanasan ng tatlong mga Hebreyo sa kamay ni Haring Nebuchadnezzar na nagtagumpay ang ating Panginoon, nagtagumpay ang mga kabataan, nagtagumpay ang ating Diyos. Thus, he does not change his devotional habit but continues his customary practice of praying 3 times a day towards Jerusalem. Hindi ba kayo nagtatanong? Bakit po yung mga Muslim pag nananalangin ay nakadirect sila, 5 times sila a day na nagpipray, mga Muslim nating kaibigan, nakadirect sila sa Mecca. Yan ating sasagutin sa susunod pero mahaba kasi ang sagot diyan, ano po. Pero dito ipinapakita po na itong si Daniel 3 beses nananalangin at nakatuon towards Jerusalem. In spite of the prohibition set at 30 days, diba? To make petition to any man of God but the king, Daniel takes no precaution to hide or disguise his prayer life during those critical 30 days also. Kasi dapat daw nakadirect lang sa hari, kaya sa hari lang hindi sa tao, hindi sa Diyos-Diyosan, hindi sa kasino man Diyos nila. Pero hindi po natakot, hindi nag-double standard, hindi nag-compromise. Because Daniel courageously took courage, sabi nga po, para lalong makita niya at maranasan niya ang Diyos ay buhay at makapangyarihan. He is an absolute minority since he is the only one among dozens of governors and other officers on a collision course with the royal decree. Through his open prayer life, though he demonstrates that the allegiance he owed to God comes before his allegiance to the king and his irrevocable decree. So mga kaibigan, blatantly, ang kanyang allegiance sa Panginoon ay gayon na lang. At hindi siya natatakot na suungin ang anuman at baliwalain ang decree ng hari pagdating po sa pananalangin. So ano kaya nangyari, Kaya I'm excited na po. Eto na po. Wala tayong magagawa. Daniel in the lion's den. The den of lions was probably an underground pit with perpendicular walls and an opening at the top. The condemned were lowered to thrown into it from above. In this particular case, a large stone was rolled over the opening and sealed with the king's signet ring and that of his nobles. The seal was a guarantee to Daniel's enemies that no attempt would be made to save him, but also to the king that Daniel would not be harmed in any way, if, as the king hoped, the God of Daniel should preserve him from the lions. So wala na. Kumbaga po nagawa at nagawa na, so kinakailangang itapon si Daniel. Sapagkat obviously, hindi niya sinunod ang anumang decree na ipinasa ng mga kalaban doon sa hari. At ang hari naman, ay talagang na-manipulate po siya ng kanyang mga cabinet members. What fascinating in Daniel's reply in his statement that God spared him because of his innocency. What could Daniel mean by that? Certainly someone as closely connected to the Lord as Daniel had to understand his sinfulness. Indeed, it's hard to imagine anyone who has ever had any kind of genuine experience with God not being made accurately aware of his or her own moral shortcomings and sinfulness. So, kumbaga po, mga kaibigan, ay pinapakita dito na bagamat siya ay nagkasala, bagamat siya ay makasalanan, pero alam natin ang biyaya ng Diyos ay sapat at sa kanyang inosensya against doon sa mga paratang po ng kanyang mga kaaway. Instead, in marked contrast to Belshazzar in Daniel 5:6, Daniel seemed to be operating out of a clear conscience. He knew that he was living in harmony with the Lord and that he had done nothing wrong that would have justified his being thrown into the pit with a bunch of ravenous carnivores katulad po ng mga lions. In other words, Daniel was not secretly stealing money for the king's treasury or secretly planning a revolt, something that could have made this punishment justifiable. In that sense, his conscience was clear. So alam natin mga kaibigan, malinis sa kanyang konsensya. Hindi siya nagnakaw, Hindi siya nag-revolt against sa gobyerno. Wala po siyang At ang niya lang ay manalangin ng 3 beses sa Panginoon, araw-araw. The conspirator, of course, soon spot Daniel praying. Ito na. Doing exactly what the decree has forbidden. And as they bring the accusation before the king, they report to Daniel in a demeaning way that Daniel is one of the captive from Judah. In their eyes, one of the chief officer of the empire, the king's favorite, is no more than a captive. Yun ang nila, captive lang naman yan eh. Yun naman kumbaga isang mga bilanggo naman yan eh. So, kailangan parusahan yan, na masama yan. Mga po, no? At nag-iisip sila. At dahil wala silang makuhang anumang ayota ng pagkakasala ni Daniel, pero patuloy siyang talagang minamanmanan, no? In addition, they pit Daniel against the king by saying that Daniel does not show due regard for you, O king, and for the decree that you have signed. So talagang no, nire-reverse psychology po yung king, no? Now the king realizes that he has entrapped by signing the decree. The text says that he labored till the going down of the sun to deliver him. Nag-isip siya, paano? Wala, natrap na siya. At paano ko matutulungan to si Daniel? Paano ko to maililigtas? There's nothing he can do to save the prophet from the prescribed punishment. The irrevocable law of the Medes and the Persian must be applied to the letter. Thus the king, however reluctantly, issues the command to throw Daniel to the lions. But in so doing, so Darius expresses some glimmering hope, which sounds like a prayer. Mga kaibigan, kaiba to ha. Tandaan nyo, mga pagano to. Your God, whom you serve continually, He will deliver you. Alam natin mga kaibigan, magkakalapit lang ang Iraq at Iran. Sa pagkakabalita niya, sa kanyang mga purity ng kanyang buhay, sa kanyang honesty, trustworthiness at faithfulness, ayun ay nakabalita na po ang hari, di ba? Ating nabasa yon. Pero dito ay alam niyang nabalita niya rin po mga kaibigan na iba ang mga 4 na Hebreyo na ito sapagkat meron silang Diyos na makapangyarihan. Di mo, isang paganong hari, your God, whom you will serve, He will deliver you. Ang iyong Diyos na pinaglilingkuran, ikaw ay tutulungan at ikaw ay hindi ipapahamak. The biblical text does not say what Daniel does among the lions, but one can assume he is praying. And God honors Daniel's faith by sending his angels to protect him. In the morning, Daniel remains unharmed and ready to resume his activities in the government. Hindi siya ginalaw, hindi kinain, wala man lang. At gusto niya na, sige, magtrabaho na muli ako. Ito po ang sinabi ni Ellen White. Prophet and Kings, pages 543 to 544. God did not prevent Daniel's enemies from casting him into the lion's den. He permitted the evil angels and wicked men thus far to accomplish their purpose. But it was that he might make the deliverance of his servant more marked and the defeat of the enemies of truth and righteousness more complete. Kumbaga po, hindi pinabayaan ng Panginoon lang na sige, pero sa bandang huli, alam naman natin na kayang i-deliver ng Panginoon si Daniel. So mga kaibigan, tingnan natin ano nangyari. King Darius honors God. Darius was exceedingly glad when he discovered that Daniel has survived the lion's den. Wow. No, at the same time, he vented his anger on the men who deceived him. However harsh and unjust the punishment may have seen, mga kapatid, itong masakit. After all, the men's wives and the children were thrown into the pit with them in the lion's den. It was a common custom of despot back then to kill whole families along with the condemned men. From a purely practical standpoint, it would have given people pause before violating the laws. On another level, it is a crude example of how our sin and wrongdoings can impact others. Kumbaga po, ano man ang ating ginawang kasalanan, pwede pong akalain sarili lang tayo, no? Pero may mga iba tayong mga mahal sa buhay na po pwede silang mapahamak. And the king clearly had somewhat of accurate understanding of the character and power of God. Most especially such a manifestation of the Lord's power and character. And at the same time, alam natin mga kapatid, lalong lumalim ang pagkakilala ni King Darius sa ating Panginoon, sa manifestation ng power na ipinakita ng Diyos doon sa mga mata ni King Darius. In a sense, the Lord wants us to tremble in fear before Him, but only because of who He is, holy and pure, and who we are, unholy and impure in comparison. This is something, however, that never can be decreed or instituted by any persons or government or even a church. So, kundi sa atin po. And the relationship with the Lord needs to be based on our own personal encounter with Him. Personal encounter with His love. Personal encounter with His mercy. And His power in contrast to our sinfulness, our helplessness, our great need of redemption. And out of that alone, we worship Him, a point lost on the King. Dapat po tayo, no, mga kaibigan, pag lalo mong tumatagal, lalo mong nakikilala ang Panginoon, lalo mong nararanasan ang kakaibang kapangyarihan ng ating Diyos sa ating buhay. Daniel, the prime minister of the greatest of earthly kingdom, but at the same time, a prophet of God, receiving the light of heavenly inspiration. Ito po, mga kaibigan, ang sabi ni Ellen White. At makikita natin kung gaano po kaimportante ang katapatan ng isang tao sa ating Panginoon. Kung tapat ang tao sa Diyos, mas tapat ang Panginoon na infinite sa atin. So from the story of Daniel, alam natin mga kapatid, makita natin dito na hindi po talaga pinabayaan ng Diyos si Daniel sa kamay ng mga kalaban na nais siyang ipapatay at maalis doon sa kanyang mga posisyon sapagkat ito ang kinainggitan nila. So ang vindication na ito na. The important point of the narrative is the fact that Darius praises God and recognizes God's sovereignty. This is a culmination, even a climax, of the praises of expressions of recognition offered to God in the previous chapter. So, pwede nating mabasa yon. Like King Nebuchadnezzar, King Darius responds to Daniel's deliverance by praising God. But he does more too. He reverses his previous decree and commands everyone to fear before the God of Daniel. Wow. Wow. Kung ganito po ang ating presidente ng Pilipinas, presidente ng Amerika, mga kaibigan, siguro po ay mas maraming mga tao ang nais tanggapin ng Panginoon at makilala nila na ang Diyos natin ay buhay. Yes, Daniel is miraculously saved. His faithfulness rewarded, evil punished, and God's honor and power vindicated. But what we see here is a mini example of what will happen on universal scale. At mangyayari yun sa atin mga kapatid. Huwag tayong matakot sapagkat balang araw sa huling panahon, tayo naman ay ibibindicate ng ating Panginoon. There is, however, one disturbing problem, and that is the wives and the children who, as far as we know, are innocent and yet to suffer the same fate as the guilty ones. So how can we explain what seems to be a mishandling of justice? So, siyempre po, yun po kasi ang kanilang kultura. No po. First, we should note that the action is decided and implemented by the king according to the Persian law, which include the family in the punishment of the culprit. According to the ancient principles, the entire family bears responsibility for the offense of a family member. So lahat po yan, bahagi ng kanilang, kanilang kautusan. And second, we must note that the biblical narrative report that even but does not endorse the action of the king. In fact, the Bible clearly forbids that children be put to death because of the sin of the parents. No? Pero tayo mga kaibigan, papasalamat sapagkat nakita natin ang malaking istorya ng ginawa ng Diyos sa buhay ni Daniel. At higit pa roon ay naging isang napakagandang testimony siya sa lugar ng Medo-Persian Empire kay King Darius na kinilala niya ang ating Panginoon at tagapagligtas na si Jesus. Nawa po mga kaibigan, ay huwag tayong matakot sa ating kinalalagyan. Kung meron man tayong nagiging karanasang katulad ng kay Daniel, head on and head up. Magtiwala tayo sa ating Panginoon. Jesus, ito ang aking dalangin.
Maraming salamat po sa inyong pakikinig at pagsama sa pag-aaral ng Daniel Size, si Daniel sa Yunggib ng Leon Last Part. Nawa ay maalala po natin na ang Diyos na nagligtas kay Daniel ay siya pa ring Diyos na kumikilos sa ating buhay ngayon. Kapag tayo ay tapat sa Kanya, hindi man niya alisin agad ang pagsubok sa ating buhay, tiyak na hindi niya tayo iiwan sa gitna nito. Patuloy po tayong manalangin, magtiwala at manatiling tapat sa Panginoon. Kung kayo po ay pinagpala ng mensaheng ito, maaari po ninyong i-like, mag-comment, mag-share at mag-subscribe upang mas marami pa po ang maabot ng salita ng Diyos. Pagpalain po kayo ng Panginoon at nawa po ang ating pananampalataya ay maging matatag tulad ni Daniel.